Stubbornly resistant to radiation and chemotherapy, it usually kills its victims in a matter of months. It rarely strikes children, but 8-year-old Angela Villanueva was one of those rare cases. Luke Abramson was a cellular biologist at the end of his career. Approaching age 75, he had been under pressure for some years from the university's management to accept retirement gracefully and go away. Professor Abramson was well liked by his students and practically adored by his small laboratory staff. But his associates on the university's faculty found him cantankerous, stubborn, frequently scornful of his colleagues, and totally unwilling to go in any direction but his own. His retirement would be a blessing, they thought. Cancer had been the curse of Luke's family. Both his parents had been cut down by cancers, his father's of the lungs and his mother's of the ovaries. His wife, good-natured and health-conscious, had succumbed to bladder cancer despite a lifetime of carefully watching her diet and faithfully exercising to keep her weight down. It was as if some invisible supernatural monster haunted his family, Luke thought. An implacable enemy that took his loved ones from him year after year. Luke had anxiously watched over his only daughter, and was thankful to a deity he really didn't believe in when Lenore grew up cancer-free. But deep in his consciousness he knew that this was no victory. Cancer was out there, waiting to strike. It devastated him when it struck not his daughter, but her child, Angela. Glioblastoma multiforme. Inoperable brain cancer. Little Angie would be dead in 6 months or less, unless Luke could prevent it. Leaving Angela with her grieving parents, Luke followed Dr. Mintier as she strode determinedly down the busy hospital corridor. The hallway bustled with people hurrying to and fro. It seemed to Luke more crowded than Grand Central Station. He was puffing. First tennis and now a freaking foot race, he thought. We must look comical. A lean, bent old man with bad knees and what was left of his hair shaved down to a whitish fuzz chasing after a slim, dark-haired oncologist. God, look at her go! Sleek and lithe as a prowling cheetah. Hey, Doc, slow up, he gasped. Tamara Mintier stopped altogether and turned to face him. Slightly taller than Luke, she wasn't exactly beautiful, he thought. Her nose was a trifle too sharp, her lips on the thin side, but she was elegant. That was the word for her. Elegant. She moved like a cat, supple and graceful. Almond-shaped green eyes set above high cheekbones. Glossy raven-black shoulder-length hair. At the moment, though, her lean, taut face was set grimly, her brilliant emerald eyes snapping. I know what you're going to say, Professor, and— Luke, he wheezed. My name is Luke. It's no good, Professor, Mintier continued, her voice low, throaty. You can't wave a magic wand and cure your granddaughter. Don't lose your freaking temper, Luke commanded himself. You need her. Don't turn her off. He sucked in a breath. It's not a magic wand, and you know it. It's manipulating the telomeres, and I've got solid experimental evidence for its efficacy. In lab mice? Mintier resumed walking along the corridor, but at a slower pace. And chimps, Luke said, hurrying to keep up with her. That stopped her. Mintier looked surprised. I hadn't heard about chimpanzee experiments. One chimp. NIH won't let us have any more. Something about the mother-loving animal rights activists. As if we were hurting them. You got positive results in a chimpanzee? Luke waggled a hand. Sort of. We haven't published yet. Mintier shook her head and started along the corridor once again. I can't let you use your granddaughter as a guinea pig. She's going to die, for God's sake, Luke barked. Several people in the corridor turned to stare at him. Mintier kept walking, her soft-soled shoes squeaking on the tiled floor. She reached her office door and yanked it open, Luke 2 steps behind her. He followed her into the office and closed the door tightly, then leaned against it, puffing. You ought to be in the Olympics, Doc, he said, breathless. And you should be retired, Mintier snapped as she headed for her desk, her body as rigid as a steel bar. It was a small office, windowless, efficiently lit by glareless light panels in the ceiling. Everything in its place.